Alrighty, so what we're going to be doing in this stream, I've set out a particular set of goals, and it's basically just going to be like stuff that we missed, kind of like bonus stuff. I have made a couple of saves that we can just load to make it a little bit easier and faster. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over how to get the 3 deaths that you can get in the game, and we are going to get the good ending for Craig and for Joseph. And again, I've made a save in order to do that and just kind of mop this game up once and for all. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll go over the death that you can get on Brian's date, just because we've already kind of done everything else for Brian, and the other 2 deaths are with Craig and Joseph, funnily enough, so we can kind of mop up Craig and Joseph after we take care of Brian here. So I've made a save on the 3rd date, and this is when you're on the Ferris wheel with Brian. It's stopped at the top, and you're having a conversation. You know, Brian thinks you hate him, but it's just a misunderstanding between the 2 men. Dixie doesn't like Brian because he's always trying to one-up him and thinks he's better than him. Just a bit of a refresher from our date with Brian that we went on.
Whoa.
So I've saved right here as they're arguing.
Aha! I don't know.
I feel so bad, like, reloading this because Dixie's such an asshole. Like, Brian's so nice. He's got the totally wrong idea. It's just like, I'm trying to be nice, dude.
I don't know about that.
I don't think I'm better than you at all. You and your daughter are amazing. I thought we were competing just for fun, but the more we started doing it, it more felt like you must hate me. No, I don't hate you. I just, you know, I'm insecure, and I took it out on you, and, you know, that wasn't right of me. Oh my god, I feel like such an ass. So, at this choice, this is where you can get the death. You're right on top of the Ferris wheel. Last time we chose to be honest with ourselves, which is the right answer, but if we want to trigger this death, we have to choose to be an asshole, which pains me, because it feels mean, but alright, be an asshole. I feel like such an ass for believing that for a second.
Whoa!
Dixie, are you serious? And then you have to try and punch Brian. Oh, this makes me cringe. I lunge at Brian with the best right cross I can muster, but I completely miss and flip over the side of the carriage, my fingers barely holding onto the railing. Brian tries to help me up, but it's too late. I fall. My last thoughts as my body lies broken in blood and on the floor of the fairgrounds are of my daughter. Who will care for her? What kind of woman will she be? I hope she can be spared the sight of my mangled corpse. These are things I will never know, all thanks to the folly of pride. Yeah, so really unexpected for kind of like a nice, light-hearted sort of fun game like this, but that's one of the ways that you can actually die in this game. Now luckily it will just reload you back, you don't lose any progress, and then you can, you know, choose your other options. So that's kind of nice. You don't actually have to worry about losing any sort of progress. And it is worth an achievement, so it is kind of worth doing if you want to see that. And I have also made a save, if I can find it, it's way back here, on Craig's 3rd date, because this is the other area where you can get a death. So this is right after you and Craig have been playing in the water, splashing around, and doing jumps off the cliff and whatnot. So this is the point where Craig's like, yeah, I want to go back. And normally you would just follow him back to camp, which is the right response. But if you say, no, I'm here to jump, go on without me. I've got at least 20 more jumps in me. Okay, dude, I'll see you back there. So Craig leaves on his own. You still have a choice to go back to Craig, but ignore it and go to the waterfall. Some peace and quiet so I can work on my form. I scramble up the rocks again. Man, the adrenaline is wearing off, I guess. By the time I get up to the top, I'm gasping for air. Here goes nothing. I take a running start for my biggest jump yet, but as I get to the edge, I trip, tumbling off of the cliff and onto the rocks below. As my broken body slips into the water, I look down to see a pool of red forming around me. I don't have long, just long enough to be alone with my thoughts. Why? Why did I push myself beyond my physical limits? Why did I let the search for adrenaline overrule my sensibilities? Why didn't I use the buddy system? Goodbye, cruel world. I can see that my chances at love were dashed, much the same as my poor body was dashed upon these rocks of the waterfall. You water fell to your death. So again, it'll reload you, and then you can make the right decision and go with Craig and finish off his third date. And before we do Joseph's date and his ending, I need to find the save. I do have a save here, but here it is. So this is our save with Craig. So I went back and I did all the dates correctly. I went back from 1 to 3. I made all the right choices, and so hopefully this time he won't reject us. So we've had the party, and now we're just going to sit with Craig and see what he has to say.
Oh.
Bro. This reminds me of the parties we used to throw. Fewer cake stands, of course. Probably for the best. I don't want to get my hip replaced after a party trick goes wrong.
Hmm?
We can leave cake stands in the past.
Oh.
I'm taking this weekend to relax. This party was my first stop out of the express train from the relaxation station. Next stop is Napville. Pull into the Dixie Concourse. I'd like to book a ticket to Napville as well.
Oh.
I might have to meet you halfway at eating food directly off of your own stomach town. Man, do I just want to pour some chips on my belly while I hang out in a hammock. Craig, I'm glad you're making time for yourself.
Oh.
Me too. Stress is a funny thing, dude. I didn't realize how overworked I was until we got away from the city. It's honestly just as destructive as binge drinking every night and eating burritos off of the floor. I guess we need to get out of the city more often then. So we can see here that he's giving us some affection, which he didn't do before. So this is a good indicator that we've made the right choices. You're looking for balance. I admire that. I'm trying to not feel guilty about doing things for myself.
Oh.
It's a process. And it's gonna take me some time to figure it out. I might need your help, bro. Craig, I'll be your bro till the day I die, and if being your bro means forcing you to take care of yourself, then I'll happily oblige.
Oh.
Aw.
Oh.
True bromance.
Oh.
That means so much to me. He pulls me into a kiss. Aw. Bro. Oh. You and me, we're gonna be all right. So there we go. So that's a much nicer ending than what we got last time. And last time I think I just screwed up on the second date where we weren't able to find his daughter's stuffed capybara. So I went back and did that, and I was able to fix that up pretty easily. So it was a nice easy fix, and I realized where I had gone wrong. And at the end of this, if I skip through these credits, we should be able to get Craig's photo. So there we go, that's Craig's dad photo. And now we are just missing Joseph's dad photo, and then we will have all of the dad photos, which signifies all of the good endings in the game. Alright, let's find the save I've made on Joseph's death date, which is going to be the second date. So I think it's actually this one here. So we screwed up, or I screwed up rather, a lot on this date when we played earlier, but I didn't screw up enough to kill myself, which I guess is good. But yeah, we didn't do so hot on this last time. But if you choose all of the wrong dance moves, you can actually kill yourself with your dancing. So what we can do first is we can do the death. I can rewind, and if you do the dance moves correctly and you kind of please him and impress him, you'll get like a secondary, we'll get sort of like an extra scene that we didn't see before, so I can always put that in here too. So I've just made a save here from when we're trying to get the kids to dance with us before we start making decisions about our dance moves. So here we go. We will do the bad moves first, and we will get ourselves killed. So I think the lawnmower is the right move, but we're gonna do the worm. Which I think is actually what I did last time, just as what I had chose randomly.
Oh, cracker barrels.
I am definitely not as good as this as I was in college. After a few weak full body undilations, I get back to my feet. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but too much too fast. You're covered in dirt now. Covered in dirt? Aren't we inside? Okay, whatever. I look all around at the semi-disgusted youths. Maybe that was the wrong move. Alright, Dixie, let's turn up the heat. Again, I think the Running Man is gonna be the right option there. So I guess sprinkling or shopping cart would do me fine for this. Let's pick sprinkler. I pull out the classic, hand behind hand, pointer finger out. I point at and make direct eye contact with several of the youths in the room. I think that makes them feel uncomfortable, but I push past it. We must water the lawn. We just came off the end of an imaginary drought, and the grass is dying. They're getting into it. Nice work, but we better pick it up or they'll lose interest quick. Alright, so we picked Hammer Slide last time, which was definitely the wrong option because he doesn't like anything with the word hammer in it, I think, as someone had pointed out in the last time we had done this. So I guess I could pick the Hammer Slide again, but maybe we'll choose, like, the windmill just to have some different results.
More McDonald's.
I've seen breakdancers do this, so it shouldn't be too hard. I drop to the floor and try to spin my legs around. I am sure this does not look appealing. That doesn't look appealing. I look around to the youths. They are not appealed. They're not looking too lively yet, but we can still turn it around. All of these sound kind of lame. Let's try to twerk, because I'm sure that is awful. And also probably not good for, like, a church function. I imagine that Joseph's not going to be too happy about that. Time for the big finish. So at the end here, the thing you're going to want to do is an unrehearsed backflip, I think, is what actually triggers this death. So let's try it. I've seen plenty of people do backflips before. It can't be that hard, right? I bend my knees and throw my arms back. Joseph grabs me. Don't you dare. I know I could land it. I'm not letting you break your neck in my church. We're not insured for that. Oh, he stopped me.
Okay.
Buddy, I can't believe this. I do try to diffuse a situation like this with self-deprecating a joke, but I can tell we're way beyond that. If I don't do something big, Joseph, Amanda, and the entire youth center population in Maple Bay will never look at me the same way again. In silence, I shift my weight to one side, take a breath, and prepare to do an acrobatic step-up style sidewise flip, which I plan to transition into a headspin or one of those other breakdancing moves that you think are so cool. I always secretly believed I'd be really good at that kind of thing. I was wrong. In one motion, I tumble myself directly through a nearby drink table, and rolling to my feet, I continue to crash and break through the succession of other snack tables in my path.
Kirk Douglas.
The kids laugh in shock and point their fingers and smartphone cameras. It'd be a great viral comedy goof. A $10,000 hit if on the last table I didn't slip on a discarded punch ladle and smack into the punch bowl chin first, breaking my neck and killing me instantly. I don't even have time to think about my daughter in the final moments of consciousness. What waits for me beyond the veil? Maybe I'll never know. Maybe this is it. Blackness. Wow. So that's the death you get with Joseph there. You dance yourself to death. Never attempt physical activity without stretching first. So there is the 3 deaths that you can trigger. All of them have an achievement associated with them. And again, kind of weird and shocking with this kind of game. You know, it doesn't really seem like that would ever happen. Alright, so now we have the option to do this part right. So we're actually going to do it correctly this time, since we haven't seen the additional scenes that come after we do it correctly. So the first response is to start with the lawnmower. I start lawn mowing the dance floor. Joseph seems to respond to that and decides to mow another patch of grass on the dance floor. That's the stuff. I look around. It looks like we've got everyone's attention. Let's turn up the heat. And I think the running man is the next response here. I start jogging in place, matching the movements with my arms pushing out. This seems to awaken something in Joseph, who feels the fire, or the running man deep within him. I look around to the youths. They're getting into it. Keep it up. I think they're coming around. And finally, we're gonna do the Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
You never can go wrong with the Cabbage Patch. Joseph follows my lead. We both take our arms and move them around in a circle, as I assume you would do in a Cabbage Patch. I look around to the youths. I think they like agriculture. I think it's working. If we pull the right moves, the kids will join us in no time. Moonwalk? Moonwalk. Let's do the moonwalk. I start sliding my feet backwards. I can't tell if this looks good or not, but I think these kids have seen enough people doing moonwalks that they understand the general concept. Joseph makes a moonwalk attempt as well. Surprisingly, dude pulls it off flawlessly. I look around to the youths. They're cheering. Alright, time for the big finish. I think it's gonna be the death drop that we need to do. I've seen enough internet videos of this move where I really think I could nail it. On the beat drop, I kick my leg up and dramatically fall to the floor, my back landing on the ground with a shablam. All the kids immediately start screaming. They know what's up. But at what cost? I will feel this for weeks to come. My chiropractor is gonna be pissed. What was that? The future of dance. These kids are going to remember this night for the rest of their lives. Impressionable preteens hit the dance floor with an almost alarming level of enthusiasm. I'm deafened by the combined volume of their cheers. The kids swarm the dance floor. They're all laughing and dancing to the music. Looks like our job here is done. The kids take the dance floor and start to move around. Before long, they're starting to laugh and enjoy themselves. It was dicey, but we've done our jobs. The rest of the chaperones will take it from here. What? I have something to show you. Oh boy. I don't know if I like this. It's dark and scary. So he's going to lead me down further into the church, I guess, to a different area. His hand finds mine in the darkness. I'm right here. I'm glad he can't see me blush. We keep walking. Where are we? This church is huge. We're almost there. I actually have to admit I was a little dishonest with you. I didn't just invite you here to help me chaperone. What happened to lying being one of the 10 things you're not supposed to do? I think there's an exception for when you're trying to surprise a friend. Yeah, well, I hope it's a good surprise and not a creepy, bad surprise. Last time we talked about escaping to an island where we could live out an easy tropical lifestyle, where our only worry is trying to find that lost shaker of salt. Since we can't actually do that, I figured I could bring a little bit of the tropics to Maple Bay. It's not quite Margaritaville, but something like it. Ta-da! Welcome to the Margarita Zone! Oh, well look at that. It's his office, but there are twinkle lights strung across the walls, little garlands of fake flowers, and 2 beach chairs sit up on the front of the desk. There's a blender and 2 glasses sitting on the table. Ukulele music plays softly in the background. Joseph, this is amazing.
Yeah.
There's no pop-tops to step on here, buddy. You did this for me?
Oh.
I did this for us. I think we both earned it. Oh, well that was nice of you. You really went all out.
Nice.
I have a flair for the dramatic, and you can't lead the community if you don't know how to make a good margarita. Well, this is a killer margarita. I would follow this man. Do you think the dance is gonna go okay without our sick dance moves?
Yeah.
No, not here. You're missing the point of Margarita Zone. Margarita Zone is a safe place of rest and relaxation. It's a place where you can kick your feet up and forget about your worries for a while. Let's get tattoos of Mexican cuties. It's heaven on earth with an onion slice. Watch out for blown out flip-flops. None of these really make a lot of sense. I'm gonna do something flip-flop related since we are talking about going to a hypothetical beach.
Oh.
No heels will get cut in my version of Margarita Zone.
Oh.
You know, it's funny. This reminds me so much of when I was younger. I've been meaning to ask, what did you do before you started preaching? It's uninteresting. I left home young and got into a lot of trouble. What kind of trouble? Trouble meant I got to go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I hitchhiked around the country, went on adventures, met all kinds of people, did some stuff I'm not too proud of. But I was young and in love, and I didn't have to answer to anybody.
Oh.
And now, I host fundraiser car washes and take the kids to soccer practice on the weekends. Hey man, we all gotta grow up at some point, you know? Sorry, I don't mean to get heavy here. It's okay. It seems like you spend a lot of time taking care of others, but not enough time taking care of yourself, which is the same problem that Craig had, and we had to help him realize that he has to look after himself too. If you need to talk about it, I'm here for you. It's just, I think about Margaritaville a lot, or I guess the concept of it, a place where I could strum on my sixth string while I wait for the shrimp to boil, drink margaritas all the time, forget my worries. It's an easy life. I had Margaritaville once. But I think the closest I'm ever going to get back to it is Margarita Zone, a short and occasional reprieve from daily life. Is that such a bad thing? This is pretty nice. It doesn't last forever, that's the rub. When you're in the zone, it's not like your problems have really gone away, you're just choosing to ignore them. Maybe you're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe the zone is actually better than Margaritaville because Margaritaville itself is an impossible ideal. It's kind of like the ideal of like Eden, you know, the perfect place. It's not something that exists or that is, you know, real or tangible. Sometimes you have to play the sad tunes to appreciate the bangers. If stepping on a pop-top is your biggest concern, how could you possibly appreciate the boiling shrimp?
Oh.
And Margarita Zone isn't landlocked to this office. I think it's about finding the little pieces of Margarita Zone throughout your day and taking joy in those moments.
Oh.
That's awfully optimistic of you. It doesn't have to be anything big. For me, I think it's being able to quietly do word jumbles and drink some strong coffee in the morning to see my daughter smile. Or to spend some quality time with a good friend. Yeah? Yeah. I can feel myself leaning closer to Joseph. Is it just me, or is he leaning closer too? Joseph tenses up. He downs the rest of his margarita and hops up out of his chair. It's getting late. We should head back. Sure. Joseph and I make sure the dance wraps up without incident before he takes me back to the cul-de-sac. So yeah, that's kind of the full extent of that date. So if you did well, you'll be able to see that little extra scene with the Margarita Zone. And we just learn a little bit more about what Joseph is thinking about. But he kind of touches upon that in the third date, even if you don't see it there. Because we did see that a little bit when we were on his yacht with him. So this is at the point where I went back and I did his dates all properly. I got an S rank on all of them. And this is the end with the party. We're going to talk to Joseph and we'll see what his dialogue says this time when we get his good ending. Joseph, it's so great to see you again.
Oh.
Great party. I should have you organize our next youth group, Mixer. My dance skills are ready whenever you need them. if you aren't busy this weekend, I was thinking we could maybe catch a movie or something. Yeah, that sounds like it'd be fun. This feels weird. It doesn't feel like it did on the yacht. I guess things are still friendly with Mary? Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. Oh boy. We talked, and we talked for a long time, and there was some yelling and some crying, but ultimately, there was reconciliation. I'm sorry, I have to make this work with Mary. Oh. That stings. I know, I shouldn't have. I didn't mean to hurt you, and I'm really sorry you got caught up in all of this. I've just felt so alone lately, and I'm not even sure I'm doing the right thing here. You've come to mean so much to me, and I'll never forget all those beautiful moments we shared together. But I have to thank you. In a way, this whole thing with you helped me realize that I still love my wife very much. That makes me feel kind of crappy. It's like, oh, you're my rebound person because I'm having troubles with my wife and I needed, love and affection from somewhere else. I was starving for that love and affection, so I went to you. But ultimately, it didn't mean anything, and I decided to go back to my wife anyways. So that kind of hurts. That kind of stings a little bit, I would feel kind of used, especially after he tells you, oh, I'm not going to be with my wife anymore, and kind of hinting that, like, hey, we can be together. That's kind of the part that would bother me. It's a little bit different if there was the understanding that, like, hey, we can't be together, this is a fling, that's just what's going to happen. But that wasn't really the impression you get when he tells you that. He's like, I'm living in the yacht, me and my wife are going to separate, and now you and I are free to do our own thing. And then he changes his mind. That's great. I know this probably isn't what you wanted to hear, and I'm sorry if you were hoping for something different, but this is where my life is, and I need to do right by my family. But hey, we'll always have Margarita Zone. Take care, Dixie. You too, Joseph. See, I don't really like Joseph for that reason. We've only seen Craig reject us. I'm sure some of the other men, if we were to see their bad endings, would have some very legitimate reasons to not be with us, but this seems like he just can't make up his mind, Did I do something wrong? Was there another way this could have ended if I had done things differently? I walk over to the half-melted remnants of the ice cream cake and shove a forkful into my mouth. This ice cream cake is my new boyfriend. The last guests begin to make their way out of the party. So we'll fast forward through this last part with Amanda. We'll see the credits, and then we should be able to get Joseph's picture. Because remember, even if you get his good ending and you do get the photo, he will never leave his wife. So no matter what you do, there's nothing you can do to make him leave his wife. He'll always stay with her. But it's still kind of crummy, especially going into it, not knowing that he would never leave his wife or something like that, and you poured all your time and your effort into him, and you really loved Joseph and you really wanted to be with him, and then you found out you couldn't be. So I think that's kind of crappy. I guess they wanted to throw him in as the loose cannon or just something a little bit different, but I'm not really a fan. So there is his photo. You can see he's got his yacht in the background and his lost salt shaker. So definitely, now that I've played all of the storylines and I've seen all of the good endings with all the men, I would have to say Goth Dad is still my favorite. Damien is just such a peach. He's just such a lovely, lovely man. So I think he's still my favorite. Robert's really up there too once you get to actually know him as a person, if you don't just decide to have a one-night stand with him. His storyline is really good. It's really nice to meet his daughter. Brian's also really up there because he's just such a nice guy, and I think the ending between the dad you're playing in Brian at the end is just, I think, the most rewarding of all, to be honest. It's just the most rewarding because you have all these negative feelings towards each other and it just kind of builds and builds and builds. And then at the end of it, it's like you get everything off your shoulders and it all gets resolved and tied up with a nice little bow. You know what I mean? So if we look at the gallery, we have all the dad photos. So Craig, Matt, Damien, Hugo, Brian, Robert, and Joseph. So you have all of those to look at. I still think Damien's is my favorite. It just looks so nice, you know. I can see him putting this in an envelope with his letter that he writes us in the mail. I also really like Robert's too, because it's just so fitting.